Welcome to Parenthood Bites, the podcast where we explore life as a parent in tech. I'm your host, Chow, and I have over 15 years of experience in tech, and I'm also currently working as a career coach. I'm the proud mother of 3 incredible boys. In each episode, we have an inspiring guest who will share their remarkable story. You'll find their wisdom and insights both relatable and enriching, because after all, we're all in this parenting journey together. So grab your favorite drink, get cozy, and let's dive into today's episode. Hi everyone! Welcome to episode 75 of Parenthood Bites. We're delighted to have Bernadette Castaneda back with us today. Bernadette is currently a compliance manager and mother of a 25-year-old son. You might remember her from our previous conversations in episode 11, where she shared her journey into the tech industry and her experiences raising her son in his early years, and again in episode 70, where she discussed her decision-making process regarding private versus public schools. Today, we're so lucky to have her join us again to discuss her experiences navigating the teenage years with her son and guiding him through the college selection process. Hi, Bernadette. I'm so excited to chat with you again. How are you today?
I'm doing well. How are you? It's good. Everything's good.
I'm doing well too. Thank you. We briefly touched upon the topic of communication with teens in our last conversation, but I'd like to explore it a bit more today. Could you share your approach to maintaining an open communication with your son, encouraging him to share things with you during his teenage years? What sorts of things did you do?
There's no way you're going to get your teenager to tell you everything. It's just impossible. Even when they get to like 7th or 8th grade, that's when they start to, you're not their world. You are not their world anymore. You are just not. It's okay. You are their Uber and
Their bank,
their bank.
their chef.
Right.
No matter how cool you think you are still their parent. So,
Yeah, it doesn't matter, right? But I think for them, this is you trusting your instinct too, right? You know your child the best, whether they tell you everything or not. So you know if they have a change in attitude, you know if they have a change in behavior. You can see fundamentally if their grades drop, right? That's always a sign. Or if like they have a change of friends or like they're just staying home or they don't want to do anything anymore. Like those are things that you can observe and whether or not you want to change or like and have a talk with them like where I'm like, are you really happy here? I'm like, again, I would never be the type of person where like I'm not forcing you to do anything. I go, I'm trying to provide the best I can because you want this, right? If you don't want it, then you tell me and then we will figure this out. Because again, I did not put all this effort in trying to raise you and everything. I'm not one of those people who would do any of these things unless my goal was to make sure I have, at the end of the day, my child is well adjusted, is a nice human being, and is a productive member of society, right? No matter what you do. And I think with them, they just have to understand that. And there's like that personality where like you feel like they might change or like they get so driven and they get so type A, which is dangerous too, because for them, when they make a mistake, it's the end of the world too. And then so when you see them being like that too, it's like you kind of have to, one, you either have to rein them in or just catch them when they fall.
yeah, how do you help them navigate that? Because I do feel like sometimes I do see that with my kids when something goes wrong, it's like, oh my God, is the end of the world? And you're just like,
It's going to be okay.
there's going to be bigger mistakes in the future, but also it'll be fun.
Yeah, I think to them, their world is still, and that's part of the community too that you build in the schools and the people that they're surrounded with, right? If they're around people who they can, because again, they're not going to come to you for everything. You have to make sure that you have to see that they have good friends too, and you can kind of see who's a good child. You have good read on people. You'll be like, no,
But they won't listen to me, right? If I'm like, no, that person's.
so you just wait. You're like, I'm just gonna wait. Like I see you. I see.
I remember before you were talking to me about your son having a girlfriend, I remember I was thinking, I was like, oh my God, what am I going to do when my kids have significant others? If I see them and I'm like, no, do I just wait and hope that they'll break up with them? I don't know how I'm going to adjust to that.
Okay, low key, this is what I did. Is like I did have to be okay with it because the worst thing you can do is be against it because that just makes it more
We
like
step closer, right?
it makes them closer, like, oh, it makes it more attractive for them to stay together and stuff. So, like, you have to be kind of cool, right?
Yeah.
And then I'm very close to my nieces who are about the same age as Caleb. And then they looked at me, I'm like, am I getting that? And I have a good relationship with them too. And I'm like, can I ask you something? And they're like, what? I'm like, am I reading this wrong? Or like, am I being overprotective? Do you think I'm just assuming too much, right? Because I don't get a good vibe from her and everything, right? And then this is my this is my one niece. She's like a year younger than Kim. I'm like, I got you. Don't worry about it. I already have her added on my Instagram and stuff. I go,
I hear you. Okay.
you have to have like your little back. You have to have your own little. And she's like, don't worry about it. And then my other niece is just like, sometimes you have to just think about the perspective too. You're the mom, so people might be intimidated by you. And I'm like, from what? I was like, she's like,
You're like, what's intimidating about me? I'm so nice.
I'm so nice. I go, didn't I give you a gift card for Christmas? I'm like, I'm so nice. God, I don't know you. I just didn't want you to feel left out. I was She goes, "No." She goes, like, "Because people coming in, and they're always gonna feel that way towards the mom and stuff." I'm like, "Okay, so I'll just be cool. I will be quiet, and I will just let this play out and stuff." And then they ended up not working out. I was not disappointed in that.
You were like, thank the Lord.
I'm glad. I was like, yeah, I was like, "Whew, I'm glad that worked out in my favor."
So it sounds like you just gotta trust your kid to make the right decisions,
Yeah.
but also not push it one way or the other because that might have bad effects.
Exactly. Yeah, push it one way or the other and just let them make their because that's another thing too. Like they have to understand how they navigate relationships too, because that's hard. You're gonna go through like, you'll date whoever you're dating and stuff, and then you learn things about yourself. That's their whole other part of their life that they need to figure out. I'm like, oh, I don't want to be involved in that. I just want to make sure the person who comes into my house is a nice person.
Right.
But you can see like if people, but I know you, Charlie, like you can see if somebody is like, well, you're a little manipulative.
I know. And then you know me, I'll be like,
Mm.
don't say anything, child. Don't say anything, but then I want to say something.
But he has little brothers too. You could ask him like, hey,
Yeah,
you just get the information another
that's true. That's true. Can you go and like follow her on this? But then I feel like boys are less, I feel
way.
like girls, I know when I was a teenager, right? Versus when my brother was a teenager, I was a lot more nosy than he was. The boys might not be that into social media stalking for me. Gotta lean on my nieces, I guess.
Yeah, you're gonna have to rely on your nieces. You do. Or just, maybe you have one that's maybe a little bit more nosier than the other, and just like, you never know. You
Okay,
never know.
gotta start working on that. Trying to make them nosy now.
You do it slowly. It's nothing you just do abruptly, right? Because then it's like not. But again, I think if you raise your kid decently and everything, they're gonna. It's hard because like you're thinking like they're not gonna make a mistake, like they're gonna see that, but they've never been exposed to it either, right?
Yeah, I mean, thinking back to all the mistakes we made when we were younger, and that's also why it's scary. Like, do I want my kid to make? But then you gotta
Well,
let them,
you
right?
gotta let them because again, they have you to fall back on, right? Like at the end of the day, if I have to pick you up from the floor, I will pick you up from the floor and then we start over and it is safe. You will be. And that's the one thing I can guarantee too. If you feel like you picked the wrong college, if you feel like you picked the wrong major, if you feel like you didn't pick the right significant other, and then it derails you from like what you think your goal is, I will always be here. You are so involved too, like with your kids. I was a very hands-on parent. I will be here to pick you up. I might be mad sometimes, but I'll still pick you up.
Hmm.
Again, my whole thing is everything is you can fix anything. Feel like you got into a problem with money, it's fixable. If you feel like you got a problem with you got taken advantage of emotionally, we can get through that. If you feel like anything, like whatever you want to open, I just have to be ready for it and I have to be okay with it. But you have to let them know like when it comes to making these decisions, because I think that's another thing too for the kids nowadays, especially your kids who are very motivated to go to college and everything. That's going to be like the biggest decision of their lives, right? Because they think that that's going to, and in some ways, that's what's going to put them in the direction of where they're going to go in adulthood and stuff. I think when it comes down to like making those kind of decisions, always know it's going to be the same thing as when you pick any other school. It's going to like, where do you fit in? where are you going to thrive? Where is it you feel like you find your people, right? Kind of thing. Like, where do you feel like you're not going to get lost? So it's going to be the same things that you look at, whether you're going to anytime you feel like they're going to be picking any kind of school. Like, it's really where they fit in, because if they fit in, then they're going to thrive.
Yeah. So when he was choosing colleges, did he also look for one that had a more tight knit community, or how did you help him navigate that?
He wanted to go, and he wanted to go to a big school because I think he wanted that big college. And plus, U of A gave him a good scholarship too. So, like, I'm like, okay. What was funny was that because he got into like one of the UCs, I'm like, okay, so you go just go there, right? And then he's like, what if I don't want to go there? I'm like, what? I was like, what the hell are you talking about?
Was that also with the scholarship?
No, it was just like straight, like, it was just like, and I'm like, "It's gonna be the same because this is low, this is like, like, it's California rates or whatever, right?" Because if you go out of we have to pay for house. It was like it was like a math thing, and I was just like, I'm like, "If something happened, I could come get you, like, really?" I'm like, "If you were scared to go to New York," I'm like, "If I could get you I could get you so easily, like, if you were all in
Yeah.
California, it's just like, I could drive there." I was
So
like,
did he end up going out of state or?
Yeah, he went to U of A. He ended up going to U of A because Terry was the one who had to stop me. He's like, "Why are you fighting him on this so much?" And I'm like,
So UC.
and I was like, "Yeah, obviously you don't understand what UC means." This, like, we got into like a big discussion about it. I was like, "What the hell are you talking about?" It's a UC. And then he was like, "Let him make his decision. He can go here. We got a scholarship. If he wants to go there, just let him go." And then I'm like, I guess. I'm like, I don't know. No, you need to let me sit with this for like a minute. And then I sat with it because that was just me overreacting, right? And then that was me making a decision for him where he actually had to make that decision.
Yeah, yeah.
And it worked out. He was fine. He was happy, and then, he was cool. And I was actually okay with him going there, like, like, I never got to experience he was at the business. He ended up going in their business program. It put him in a good direction and everything. He graduated in 4. He did everything he was supposed to do, so it ended up being but, like, I remember that decision. I'm like, I'm like, "What are you 2 talking?" This is my first I'm like, "I don't understand what you 2 are talking about."
Yeah, you're like, "Give me a minute. Let me process."
This is everything I was programmed with since, like, I guess since the day I had to
That was the
yeah,
goal.
like, this was, like, the goal. I go, "This is" and then when he told me, like, "I don't like" I'm like, "What?" Again, I was
What's there not to like?
I was like, "Why are you guys making me always step out of my comfort zone?"
So did you help him decide on the major as well?
I did
Or how did?
Well, I did give him the advice about deciding the major because I did tell him like, realistically, I want you to take college seriously, right? I want you to make sure you have a major that's practical, and then you choose what that major is, and then we'll discuss it. And then he was an economics major, and then he has a minor in business administration. I'm like, okay, that's fine. I go, that's flexible. That's applicable to everything, right? And I thought I was okay with it. It was a good foundation for it and everything because I think there was like a few other things that he could have chosen. I'm like, but I remember I did. I'm like, I did let him like, can you just stay in this business lane? I know you have no desire to go in the science lane. Can you just stay in this business lane? I just want to make sure you get a job. Again, I invested so much in you since you were born. I was like, can you just this is all I'm asking. And he was okay. He understood. He understood like, okay, let's be practical about this. And he was okay with like, but if he was passionate about like, no, I'm gonna be like the next, like I'm gonna be the next big director for like a movie. And I'm like, let's put a pin.
Because we were talking before we started recording, like he's very passionate about music,
Mhm.
right? Was there a point where he was like, maybe I don't go to college, maybe I just focus on music?
He could do that after.
Or did he always know he needed to get a degree?
I always put it in him like he needed to get a degree. He could always do that. I always told him like, if this is your dream, you have to work. Everybody who has a dream like that's that passionate about it, and that if you really feel like you're passionate about it, you're going to be like the next big thing, and you're going to invest in like your music and everything. Then it has to be something you want to do. I go, giving it your 200% to do that, that means you're going to have to work and do this at the same time, because music might not pay off right away, right? In the real world, if you didn't have our family structure and everything, and you wanted to do this, you would have to be on your own. You would have to figure out how to pay rent. You would have to figure out how to, like make your car payment, like he does his car.
All of those things that you didn't have to do with
All of those things that you would still have to work. So, like, you still need to, even though you're home, you need to make your car payments, you need to do all of this stuff, right? And I think this is still a learning process for us. Like, you can't be a grown up halfway. You're either grown or you're not. Because as long as I'm helping you, you are not a grown up. And this decision for you to do music, this is more like, again, you need to take it seriously. If you want to do it, then you have to have money. It's not my money. I go, it's your money. Because this is your passion. It's not my passion. My passion, I didn't. My passion was raising you. So
I already spent my money. That private school.
I already spent my money. I already spent my money on the school and stuff. I got that's where you have to understand where you have to have your own drive to make that successful. Like, I'm not gonna be like, like, "Oh, no, that's cool. Here, don't work." But, I mean, he's very smart about, like, I think what he actually learned from being, like, at that business, he's really smart about, like, how he does his music. He writes his own music, he makes sure it's registered, so he has a catalog, so if anybody uses everything he does, he uploads into a catalog, so it's registered under all the writing
He protects himself in the process of that, right?
Yeah, he learned how to protect himself, he knows how to create and he created his own LLC. He did all of that stuff, right? He does his own marketing, he does his own, like, editing for his videos, he does his own, like he does his own production. He does I mean, I'm very impressed to, like, what he's been able.
Wow, he did his own LLC and stuff. That's really cool. Did you have to help with that, or
No, he did all of that again.
he just did all that's awesome.
Yeah, he did that all. I'm like, "Do you understand you have to pay taxes quarterly?" But you have to learn that your own way. Again, these are things you have to learn if you're gonna be very passionate about what you're trying to create. So I let him do that, but I'm like, I'm also to the context where if this is not paying you enough money, you still have to work. So he's working right now too, right? So this is where, like, if you really want this, you're gonna work. Work is gonna be like work is work, and then this is gonna be like you're gonna put 110% into this dream of yours. And honestly, if that dream comes true, that's what's gonna make it successful is because there's nobody who whenever you're successful like that, you don't half-ass it. You have to go like 110%. So that's what I'm trying to be patient with. with him.
Yeah. Do you have any advice for parents that are helping their kids navigate picking colleges, majors, and also advice for parents who, if they're like, I want my kids to go UC, and then they decide to go something completely different? Any advice there?
Yeah, my advice is this is their life and this is their dream, right? And in order for them to thrive, it can't be your dream that they're trying to fulfill. It has to be theirs, right? It can't be like, yes, of course. And like, I would have been very disappointed if you got into UCLA or like Stanford and you're like, no, I don't want to go there. But if you gave me a good solid reason why you didn't want to go there, I have to understand you are the one, I'm not the person going to that school. I am not the person who's going to have to take the classes. This even comes to like when they pick their majors. I'm not going to be the one in the day to day trying to make these decisions and live that life where like I have to take, my science classes. I have to have pressure being a doctor. I have to do all this. It has to be them. And again, they have to be the ones wanting this for them to be successful. Because at the end of the day, I think parents get into the rabbit hole where like they see success one way. They see success like they went to a UC. They have like a STEM major. They're an engineer. They see success one way and they get stuck in that rabbit hole, right? And their kids aren't happy because they got forced into this major or they got persuaded into this, right? They got persuaded into it. I mean, they could like if they love math, go full it. Like, you know what I mean? But they're the ones who have to live with this day-to-day decision and they have to live with this day-to-day like going to this school and everything. So my advice is like value their input. If they're very adamant about this is what I want to do, or this is a school I want to do, or this is a major. I mean, again, let's be practical here. Like if you feel like their major isn't, you have to understand why they want to pick it, right? Like if you're picking it because it's easy, then I'm not cool with that. Right. Like, that's not the whole reason why I'm sending you to college or I'm sending you to a school. I'm not trying to give you an easy way out. You have to understand that I'm coming from a place, like, even though it sounds a certain way, I'm coming to a place where, like, I'm trying to give you the best and I'm trying to challenge you. If you're telling me your decision is based on because it's easier for you, like easier, like you don't have to put in effort or you're not going to learn anything, then we still have to continue to have this discussion. But if it's something they're like, no, I feel like I'm going to fit into this school better. I feel like they have the programs I like. And they can articulate like, hey, am an English major, I'm gonna be going into law school, or I'm gonna be doing this, or like they give you like a path, then let's have a discussion about it and let's consider that too. Because again, they're going to be the ones walking that walk and walking that road, and it's their life at the end of the day. And again, what happens too is like if you force them into something, they're going to resent you. And I'm like, and then what do you get out of that, right? You get like they resent you. You spent
You're like, all
money.
my hard work for this resentment?
Oh my
No.
Yeah, all this hard work to get you to Berkeley or to like UCLA or like to US, it was for nothing because you hate it. You hate me, and I spent like all this time and money to get you to a place where you don't even want to be.
Right, right.
Please always like if you have, and I know if you're listening to this podcast and they're like about parenthood, you're very involved in your parenting with your kids and everything. My whole thing is just listen to them and understand like where are they coming. Sometimes they might not be so articulate with it, but just they're kids. They're not, but just take a moment and understand. I'm like, is this why you want to choose it to go to this way? And I think before I said 80% for college, or maybe 80%. It depends how old they are and how mature you think. Their feedback on where they want to go is going to be like between like 60-70%. But it depends on their maturity, what they're actually saying to you.
Yeah, yeah. You kind of adjust depending on your kid and depending on your situation, all of that, right?
Yeah, depending on you, and you know them best. No matter how well they talk to you, like on a daily bit. Again, when they're teenagers, nobody talks to you because did you? No.
I did. I was an amazing teenager. I look at my kids and I'm like, I was so much more delightful. At least that's what I think.
Not always.
I'm sure my parents would have a different opinion.
Yeah, I did. I wouldn't be able to tell my son with a straight face, like, "Oh, I talked to my mom about everything." I'm like, "No, I did not."
I mean, yeah, but that was just the generation thing. Right? Like your mom wasn't talking to you about feelings. No, my mom was talking to me about you better get your homework done. That's it.
Yeah, I'm like, nobody's hugging me as I go to school. Like, you crazy?
No one's like, I love you. Have a great day.
No.
No.
They're like, "Are you late?" I'm like, "No, no, no, I'm gonna leave. I'm leaving right now."
Yeah.
But it's different now. Like, yeah, if again, listen, that was my whole thing. Just listen to them and put that as part of your and then you go from there, like what you can offer them and just go from there.
Awesome. That makes a lot of sense. And I know for me, I could talk to you for days about this stuff because I see, your son and I'm like, okay, let me just get my kids there. How do I get from here to where you are? So I super appreciate you taking the time to walk me through all of this and talk to me. And, I look forward to talking to you again in the future.
Okay, thanks, ciao.
Thanks a lot. Thank you. Thank you so much for joining us today on Parenthood Bites. We hope you found our episode informative and entertaining. If you're a parent in the tech world or know someone who is, we'd love to hear from you. Please reach out to us at chow@parenthoodbites.co, and we'll be thrilled to add your experiences to our interviews. That's chow, CHIAO, @parenthoodbites.co. And to our potential sponsors out there, if you're a business or know of one that would like to support and partner with our podcast, please don't hesitate to get in touch. You can also reach us at chow@parenthoodbites.co. Thank you once again for tuning in, and we wish you a fantastic rest of your week. Until next time, take care and stay curious.